And hello, everybody. A little delay here sorry about the delay on Facebook. Vasuvada Party. Nick Robinson, our intern Nick here with the Make the Money and Run podcast, NFL Pregame Kickoff show for Week 15. We are sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Capitola. We are here live with the Britannia Arms of Capitola. Andy Hewitt, a couple of people here. Andy Hewitt, the owner. Sydney is also here. Drinks, breakfast, all the margaritas, mimosas, and Bloody Marys you want. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. We're all here. Intern Nick Robinson with us, Vasuvada Party here. How are you, Nick?
Great. How are we doing?
Good, very well. A little delay here on that, so we'll try and edit that post-production. But we're here every Sundays. We're here every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And then we're here on Sunday for the last live show of the year, the week before Christmas and 2 weeks before New Year's. We're here at the Britannia Arms of Cupertino on Capitola on an overcast day in Capitola. Beach is beautiful. People out there walking. People out there doing things, but I'm inside ready for Week 15 of Sunday action of football, Nick. Let's go. Let's get right to it. Let's go. Let's get right to it. All right, we're going to give you our picks right away first because we want to make sure you get them in before kickoff. We're about 15 minutes away from kickoff with the 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific games. Charlie O, who will not be with us through Christmas, he's going to take some time off. He's got some stuff to deal with, so he's on assignment, but he will be present on social media. His two early picks, and we'll have our afternoon selections for social media selection Sunday. The 1 o'clock games for Charlie, the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 5.5. Urban Meyer gone. Looks like they might play free and easy. They're playing for the worst record in the NFL and the number one draft pick. So I don't know who wants to win that badly. And then the Tennessee Titans, both of you guys got that at +1. So those are Charlie's two early selections: is Jacksonville plus 5.5, Tennessee +1. Intern Nick also has player props, which we always show hashtag all the time. But his early afternoon game, early morning on the West Coast is Tennessee plus. How did you guys get +1? I want to know how you guys got +1. But +1, go ahead, Nick, with your player props.
Yeah, so I love me some Tennessee +1. I'm very surprised that they're underdogs in this game, especially how Pittsburgh looked in the first half of last game. But I'll take Tennessee all day, especially in that one. I think it's even now, but I got it at +1. For the player props, I got James Robinson touchdown at -125. The Texans have been getting gashed on the ground all year long, and I expect James Robinson to punch at least one in, maybe not two. Two is value at +400, but expect Robinson to punch one in right there.
All right. Well, maybe I got distracted when I said Cupertino. I'm in Capitola. We were in Cupertino last week, but I was watching Andy make my breakfast here. So Bloody Mary, fresh with everything. Hopefully it's a little spicy for a little Saturday night fun. So intern Nick +1, the player props that go with that. For me, the early games that I have are Buffalo -14 over Carolina. They have to come out and play well, based on how many weeks they've had of not playing well. They were a Super Bowl contender. They've got problems right now trying to figure out what the alternatives are. If Josh Allen doesn't have a good game, they are sunk. There's my Tennessee pick at a pick 'em. Fortunately, I got them at a pick 'em. Miami -10.5. They've won 5 in a row. They're in the 12th seed. But they're only a game back, as we said on Friday on the Friday football show. They're only a game back of the number 5 seed, and the Indianapolis Colts, which we'll get to in a second, ended up winning. So they overtake the Chargers for the 5 seed. And then I'm going with the Houston Texans. I'm not sold just because Urban Meyer got fired. I'm thinking the Texans. I mean, these are two bad teams. It's hard to lay a touchdown when you're 2-11 to another team. So if it ends up 0-0, Nick, I'm completely fine with that.
I do like Houston, but one more thing on Charlie's, I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars should have been -5.5. It was +5.5.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I took Houston. You're right.
Either way, it should work. But no, one last thing. Also, my other player prop is Deontay Johnson, 7 catches, which should be at -110. He's going up against Tennessee, and Tennessee's corners have been banged up all year long. Deontay Johnson's a target hog. He's been getting at least 10 targets a game in the last few games. So I love Deontay Johnson, 7 receptions.
All right. If you want to join us on the show, feel free to copy and paste this browser. We appreciate all the support. Jump on. If you can't make it live with us, copy and paste the browser to join show with comments and questions. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter live. All right. We got about 8 minutes till kickoff. So let's get to the games. We'll go after. We'll talk about Saturday's game and Thursday's game after the commercial. But let's get to today's game. Let's start with the Miami Dolphins. Again, these lines are not updated. These are from earlier in the day, 9.5, but it's 10.5 now that I got Miami. Dolphins on a 5-game winning streak, off their bye, only one loss behind all teams in all the way with the 6 losses. They've outscored everybody 116-55, 3-0 against the spread as favorites in this 5-game winning streak. Tell me a minute or two, Nick, about Miami and the Jets.
Yeah, so Miami's look really fantastic the last few weeks. They're on a big winning streak. They are playing also at home, which helps a lot, and I do like their spread. The only thing is Zach Wilson does tend to come back in garbage time in these kinds of games, so 9.5 is a lot, but I do expect Miami to win this one, maybe by a touchdown, if not more. So it's a close one to bet, but never count out Zach Wilson and Michael Carter.
Let me add this to Charlie's ledger because I didn't realize, I forgot it was an early game, was the New York Jets plus 10.5 for Charlie. He's going with 2 underdogs and a favorite. He thinks the Urban Meyer scenario will help him out right there. All right, the next one we go to, the early morning games. We have the Dallas Cowboys playing out the NFC East. They're at the New York Giants. They're the 4 seed right now, 9-4. The Giants are 4-9. I did not get the injury reports yet, but I got to believe Daniel Jones is not playing. I think it's Mike Glennon going. Barkley was questionable coming in, and then Tony Pollard, DeMarcus Lawrence also questionable. They started 6-1, but this 2-game winning streak has kind of helped them right the ship a little bit. And if they win this game with 3 to go, we're in a 17-week season. With 3 to go, the Dallas Cowboys could win the division. What do you think, Nick?
Oh, yeah, Dallas is on a roll after a little bit of a stumble after a great start, but I definitely think Dallas can easily cover in this one. New York's all banged up. Their receivers are questionable all the time. Barkley, their superstar, has been banged up with an ankle injury, so they don't really have any healthy pieces, especially their quarterback. So Mike Glennon's not the best, but I definitely love the Cowboys in this one. It should be a little closer than people expect, but they should be able to cover by 11, if not maybe even 14.
Even on the road, huh, Nick? They're looking on the
I
road
believe
here
so.
Okay. So Daniel Jones out, Kadarius Toney out, John Ross out, Saquon Barkley in for the Cowboys. Tyron Smith, the offensive tackle, terrific offensive tackle. He's out as far as notable names. All right, the next one we've got, again, we said I had to pick them. The Pittsburgh Steelers are hosting the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee in the 3 seed now, 9-4. Actually, they moved up to the 2 seed after New England lost last night. But Pittsburgh on life support is 6-1. How important is this game for Pittsburgh as well as for Tennessee, Nick?
This is a huge game for both teams. I think it's going to be a battle going back and forth. That's why Vegas has it so close as a pick 'em, and maybe even minus or +1. But it's going to go back and forth, and I don't think either team's going to have more than like a 7 or 14 point lead in this one. So I think it'll be keep going back and forth, a lot of lean changes, and maybe Tennessee comes out in the end by a field goal.
Vasu Vataparte here with intern Nick Robinson, Charlie O on assignment. He'll be back with us after the Christmas holiday, but he will have social media selections every day for us during the week as we approach the Christmas and New Year's holiday. Lots of bowl games to talk about. We'll do that after the break. 2 more games to go through before kickoff here. So we got 5 minutes till kickoff. Jacksonville and Houston, we said that it was 4.5 on Friday. It's up to 5.5, or in some cases 6. David Culley, the first-year coach, has had a rough time. He came in with the Deshaun Watson incident. They haven't played well. Davis Mills, starting quarterback. Tyrod Taylor struggled all year. They're both playing for the number 1 seed. Number 1 seed meaning the first draft pick. So Jacksonville, for me, is minus 5.5. For Charlie, he picked it at 5.5 as well too. But they're both 2-11. I mean, who wants the number 1 draft pick more? But these are professional players. They're playing for pride. I like Houston still in this game, Nick.
I also do like Houston. I think this is going to be a sneaky barn burner. I think it's going to be a back and forth game. Neither defense is quite elite, and I think especially after the firing of Urban Meyer, Jacksonville will come out hot. I also think Houston's going to be able to score a lot of points. So I could somehow see this being like a 28-24 kind of game. So I like both sides. They either minus 4.5, plus 4.5. It's a hard one to choose.
All right, the final one of the 6 that are going to go off in 5 minutes for 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific. The Arizona Cardinals, they've struggled a little bit. They lost last Monday to the Rams. They've dropped all the way to the number 3 seed after Tampa Bay had overtaken them. They lost to the Rams. They're 3 losses right now. The Arizona Cardinals are a 13-point favorite, 47.5 at Detroit. It's probably 13.5 now. But here's the scenario for the Arizona Cardinals. They are in the 3 spot behind Tampa Bay. They've fallen Green Bay, Tampa Bay, Arizona, all with 3 losses right now. Arizona loses a tiebreaker to Green Bay. Tampa Bay has a better conference record. I always said the Lions, they always find a way to cover. They're at home. 13's a lot. But here's the thing about the Cardinals, Nick. Every one of their road games has been double-digit victories. Detroit has 1 win after beating Minnesota. They got hammered by Denver last week on the road. And, of course, we just said Arizona lost to the Rams. That makes that a very important game as well, too, because here are the Rams. They're 9-4, and Arizona's 10-3. The NFC West is not locked up at all for Arizona. If they had won, they would have locked it up. And now it's a big game. And can Detroit come up and scare them? This is any given Sunday, right?
Exactly. What you said is exactly what I was thinking, how Arizona comes out firing and has beat every road team by multiple scores. But the thing is, Detroit is kind of the comeback garbage time king, whereas they go down 21 points in the first half and somehow make it to a 7-point game at the end of the game by just Jared Goff just launching passes, dump down. So I somehow love Detroit plus 13 in this just because I think they'll be able to cover in garbage time in that last minute fourth quarter with that field goal or touchdown.
I'll make you a wager. If you want to give me 13, I'll take Arizona, Nick. We'll bet
We'll
mortgages if that's okay. All right. Those are the 6 games we have coming up at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock, about 2 minutes before kickoff on all the TVs. Come down to the Britannia Arms of Cupertino. NFL Sunday ticket all day. Andy's here, Sydney's here, the owners. I've got my Bloody Mary all set up. Graham's here. More people expected to come. If you're in the area, come down, have breakfast, have lunch, have the best British pub restaurant in Northern California. How can you beat this view? I think I posted on Instagram already. I don't know if you got the photos on Instagram, Nick. Maybe you could share it on the segment here. You can share the screen on it or post it on your Instagram. We're here. Kickoff starting for everybody. I see Tennessee and Pittsburgh in front of me. I see the Dolphins and Jets behind me. I believe that's the Cowboys in the far corner. And somewhere up here is the Arizona-Detroit game as well, too. All right. Come join us at the Britannia Arms. Get on the link if you see the link. Copy and paste the link. We want to hear from everybody. We appreciate the support for everybody on the show. We'll take 30 seconds right now. We'll come back. We'll talk about the afternoon games, and we'll recap Saturday night football and Thursday night football as we wind down the season here. 4 more weeks left until we get to the 17-game season. Intern Nick in, Vasivada party here, the Britannia Arms in Capitola. Beautiful day, a little overcast, about 50 degrees. Lots of people walking around. If you want to watch some football and you get tired of football, you get the beach right here. Come over here, Andy. Say hi real quick before we go to break. I keep saying Cupertino. I apologize, everybody. I keep saying Cupertino. This is Andy Hewitt.
Just correcting my friend here.
This is Andy Hewitt. He's the owner here. He's the owner here at the Britannia Arms in Capitola. Come down, enjoy NFL Sunday ticket. He'll tell you some bad jokes, but he'll make you the best drinks and the best breakfast. Appreciate it, Andy. Andy and Sydney here at Britannia Arms in Capitola. All right, when we come back in 30 seconds, we'll get to the 4 o'clock games and the 4:25 games, as well as preview the night game and Monday Night Football as well, too. All right. Intern Nick with me, Vasivada party here. We're back in 30 seconds. Welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast, NFL Pregame Kickoff. 1 o'clock game's about to go off. We've already given you our picks. If you haven't gotten them in yet, let's run through them real quick. I'll just do it verbally. Charlie has the Jacksonville Jaguars -5.5, Tennessee +1, the Jets +10.5. The intern Nick has Tennessee +1. He's got prop bets on James Robinson. Go ahead, give them to me one more time.
Yeah, James Robinson touchdown at -125 and Deontay Johnson 7 catches at -110.
All right, and I have Buffalo -14 against a really banged-up Carolina team trending downward. Tennessee at a pick'em against Pittsburgh on the road. Miami -10.5 against those Jets. And then the Houston Texans in the battle of the toilet bowl and the number 1 draft pick +6 today with Davis Mills, the former Stanford quarterback as well. All right, those are the 6 games. Kickoffs are going right now. Arizona and Detroit there. The Jets and the Dolphins behind me. Pittsburgh and Tennessee here. Dallas and the Giants here. And then over there, Carolina and Buffalo over there as well, too. And then we have Houston, and Darrell Bevel is the coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars on an interim basis. Longtime offensive coordinator. Here we go. Kickoffs everywhere. We'll give you updates. All right, as we welcome you back inside the Britannia Arms of Capitola right here on the shores of the Pacific Ocean. Very beautiful. We're here 3 times a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Don't forget to join me tomorrow at 3 Eastern with Kent Sterling of Indianapolis Radio. 1 o'clock Eastern for Thursday with general stuff. And then Friday, the Friday Football Show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter Live. Download and subscribe if you miss any of the live broadcasts. Again, by 6 o'clock every day. But we're going to do twice today. We'll have our social media selection Sunday right there set up at 3:30 for the afternoon games. That'll include NBA, NHL, any college basketball that you might have as well, too. And then, of course, come down to the Britannia Arms Capitola, 10 years on the shores of the Pacific Ocean, located on the end of the Capitola Village, Facebook.com/Britannia Arms Capitola, 831-464-2583. Come on down, and you can join me for one of these. If anybody comes down, we'll set you up with a Bloody Mary breakfast and lunch here. They're officially open right now. We got the games going on. We'll give you scores as we go along. All right, Nick, as we move on to the 4 o'clock Eastern games here, let me get to it. The first one, obviously the big one here in San Francisco, in Santa Clara, depending on where you live. The San Francisco 49ers are -9, 46.5 versus the Falcons. The Falcons 6 and 7, 10th tied with Philadelphia, Minnesota, Washington, San Francisco. They have the tiebreaker over a couple of these teams. Let me see how the standings go because they're in 10th. Philadelphia's ahead of them. Minnesota's ahead of them. The Washington football team will be postponed until Tuesday without Taylor Heineke. Maybe he'll be back if he gets a couple of negative tests. But right now, the Atlanta Falcons, if they win, they get to 7 and 7. They could, and some of these other teams lose, they could really be battling San Francisco, who would end up also being 7 and 7, and they would overtake them. So we're talking about number 6 all the way down to number 11 with the Saints who play tonight, 6 and 7. I mean, this is a 5-spot swing, Nick, as we said before.
Yeah, this is going to be a big game for both teams. Never count out the Falcons, especially with this big of a spread, but I definitely like the Niners in this one, but that is a big spread. I think it's going to be a close back and forth game. As in the past, as you said on the previous show, last year, a few years ago, the Falcons gave them a run for their money with that Julio Jones touchdown. The year before, Navarro Bowman got that pick 6 to bring the Niners into the playoffs. So this is always somehow a small rivalry at the end of the year that turns into a big game. So I think this is going to be a really big one.
Thanks to Tom and Taylor on Facebook comments. If you guys want to click on and come on into the show, send us any questions on Facebook, feel free to do so. 6 games have started in the NFL already. Arizona, Detroit, no score. Pittsburgh trying to move down the field. Oh, great catch. No, incomplete. No, they called it incomplete right now. No score, 4th down. So that's good for all of us that have Tennessee. Giants, Cowboys, no score. Arizona, Detroit, no score. The Jets have the ball as well, too. It looks like no score everywhere on my scoreboard. All right, let's get back to the afternoon games here. San Francisco. What does San Francisco have to do to win the game here and maybe cover, too? They got to run the ball, keep the ball off of Matt Ryan's hands because he can be dangerous. And in their Super Bowl year, if you remember, right about this time 2 years ago, Julio Jones got a game-winning touchdown pass on the last play of the game. And they were able to win that game. It didn't deter the 49ers from going to the Super Bowl, but it did hurt a lot of -10.5 that day, as I remember 2 years ago. So 9 points is a lot, Nick. I mean, I'm just trying to think of what we're going to do with this.
It is a lot of points because I could see this definitely being a 1-score game at the end. So I definitely do like the Falcons +9, but I do think the Niners will win by a field goal or touchdown. I think the Niners definitely need to integrate Debo on the ground as they have in the past, especially with no running backs right now, because I know Jeff Wilson might be one of their only healthy running backs, and continue to feed George Kittle. I mean, in the beginning of the year, they kind of went away from him. They used him as a blocker and a decoy, but in the last 2 games, he's gotten so many targets. I believe it's 25 targets, around 22 receptions. He's absolutely feasting. So get that man the ball, and he's going to rumble through the defense.
I listened to every word you said as I'm looking around at scores here. Let me give you the injury report here real quick. That game's at 4:05, 2 4:05 games. As we have, again, Bossy Vada Party here live at the Britannia Arms in Capitola. We're having a good time here. People starting to show up. Big games. All the playoff implications are taking place right now with everything going on. The injury list for the Falcons, again, the official list comes out an hour and a half before game time. So about 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 on the West Coast when the official injury. But here's what's on the list right now. Darren Bates, the linebacker. Dante Fowler Jr., big time. He's questionable. Eric Harris, the safety, is on injured reserve for the 49ers. Elijah Mitchell and Dre Greenlaw are out. Aziz Al-Shair is doubtful. Jaquaski Tart is questionable. And Maurice Hurst at the defensive tackle is out as well, too. They're going to have to get to Matt Ryan, Nick. I mean, in order to do this, they're going to have to, I think they can stop the run. I don't think the Falcons have a great run game. So they got to stop it. And they have some talented wide receivers, even though they lost Julio Jones. They've got Russell Gage. They've got tight ends. Kyle Pitts, great tight end, number 4 pick in the draft this year. They're going to have to figure out how to stop these guys on offense because that's the only way the Falcons are going to win. By the way, the Falcons 5-2 on the road against the spread. So that's another one to look at in terms of a 9-point spread. I think the 49ers, if they're going to cover, Nick, they're going to have to run the ball and take time possession and keep Matt Ryan off the field because their secondary is hurt and they can't afford Matt Ryan to tear that secondary apart.
100%. They're definitely going to have to keep the ball on the ground, as Kyle Shanahan loves to do, get the motion going, run behind Trent Williams, who's been quite literally the highest Pro Football Focus tackle of all time so far. So get that man going, get Debo going, get Kittle going, and it should be all right.
All right, we move on to the other 4:05 game. The Denver Broncos will host the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals off 2 losses at home. 2 weeks ago, the Chargers got smashed by the Chargers in the overtime win by San Francisco. Coincidentally, San Francisco in overtime on the Brandon Ayuk touchdown. They had started off well. They were in first place. If they had won, if they had won last week against San Francisco, they would be leading the AFC North over the Ravens, who lost to Cleveland last week. Denver 3-44. Cincinnati Broncos with the win over the Lions. Moved to 10th place from last week. 4 teams from 6 to 11, as we said, all with 6 losses now. Chargers loss puts them at 6 losses from last week too as well. So what are we looking at here as far as Cincinnati and Denver? Cincinnati going to get off the schneid because Denver's had problems offensively, but they looked good against the Lions last week, and Bridgewater manages games well. They've got Melvin Gordon to run the ball. They've got their receivers, Patrick and Cortland Sutton, that are there as well too. And you got to think that if Teddy Bridgewater has protection against his front four, which is outstanding. If you watch the 49ers game, last week, you saw the pass rush get to Garoppolo, and that's the one good thing they have. They can get the pass rush. They can save the secondary a little bit, and that's a big key here for Bridgewater, who may hold the ball on a little bit too long.
Oh, yeah. So I definitely love the Denver Broncos in this game. I think their defense has just been outstanding recently. Their run game has been dominant with Williams and Melvin. Both the 1-2 punch is just different. I think those guys are two of the best duos or one of the best duos in the NFL, and I don't think you can stop them right now. But in order for Cincinnati to win, like you said on the other show, I think they're going to have to dominate on the ground also with Joe Mixon. When they get behind, Joe Burrow makes mistakes. They force it to Chase. They force it to Higgins. And Burrow can just throw interceptions. So I think they're going to have to integrate Joe Mixon and then get that play action going to get Chase the ball, to get Uzoma and Higgins, their weapons, going. So I definitely like Denver in this one to dominate on the ground. But in order for Cincinnati to win, they're also going to have to dominate with Joe Mixon.
All right, Vasu Vada Party intern Nick Robinson here. Charlie on assignment. He'll be back with us after Christmas. But we'll have our social media selection Sunday. Part 2 of the podcast minute, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. We'll have all the afternoon games. That includes the NBA, NHL, any college basketball. One college basketball game. I think Texas is favored by 10.5 at Stanford. I don't know why they're playing on Sunday afternoon against Stanford on national TV, I guess, but it's not going to go up against football, especially here in this area where the 49ers are playing about an hour later. So come on down to Britannia Arms of Capitola. We're here. We got people in here. Games going on all over the place. All 6 games going on right now. The Dolphins and Jets are scoreless. Believe there's no score in any of the 6 games so far. Panthers with the ball, Lions with the ball, Jets with the ball, Cowboys with the ball from the playoff standpoint. All right, the last game, which we don't have a banner for, the Green Bay Packers are going to go to Baltimore. They're going to play the Ravens. I'm looking at the injury list right now. Again, the official injury report that will help us make our selections at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 is when they come out. With the full injury list of who's out. So right now I'm looking at it. Let's see. Emmett Queenis, St. Brown, the wide receiver, he's doubtful. Marcus Valdez-Scanlon, questionable. Billy Turner, the guard, out. And David Bakhtiari, the offensive tackle, all-pro offensive tackle, out as well. For the Ravens, Sammy Watkins out. Marquise Brown until 2:30. Jimmy Smith's the cornerback is out. There's Chris Westry, a backup cornerback. So right now, Green Bay, according to what I have, I don't know what you have as a line here, but it looks like Green Bay is favored quite a bit, and that line probably is there until you figure out what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson, Nick.
Yeah, so I definitely think that line is going to adjust once they decide if Lamar Jackson is in or out. So if you think Lamar Jackson's not going to play, I would hammer it now for the Packers. I think that's only going to move higher. And I also do love the Packers either way, hoping Lamar plays and the line lowers a bit before the game so I could take it then. But here's a stat for you that I think people will like. So Aaron Rodgers against a cover 0 or 1 this year has thrown a touchdown in every 9 attempts. And the Ravens run a cover 0 or 1 at the second highest rate in the NFL. So he should be able to shred that defense apart.
Cover zero, for those that don't know, is when they leave the Nick, you got to turn your sound down.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. So Green Bay Packers 9.5 and 43.5 right now. We're waiting to hear the word on Lamar Jackson in terms of his status. That's obviously a big one for the Ravens. They are 8-5. They lead the division still. They are in the 4th spot. Indianapolis just won. They're 8-6 as well. And so if Baltimore loses, they'll still retain the tiebreaker over Indianapolis. But then if Cleveland wins, they'll be 8-6. They may end up taking over first place. We know Cleveland's not going to play till Monday against the Raiders, and we'll get to those games in a second. Cincinnati, if they go to 8-6, they will move ahead of Baltimore as well too after the smashing they gave the Ravens early in the year. So this is a huge game for the Ravens with or without Lamar Jackson. They have to find out a way to win the game at home. They're at home, so they should have that crowd behind them. And cover zero defense, for those that don't know, is when they have no secondary help deep. And Aaron Rodgers, he loves to go deep. And if he's got receivers down there, he'll find them. It doesn't matter if you're starting receiver. Randall Cobb's out as well too. You just figure out how to get to Rodgers. And if the pass rush can get to him, it'll be all set. If they can't, then good night, Baltimore Ravens.
Exactly. That's what I think. And especially with Taylor Huntley, who kind of is like a Lamar Jackson build, which is kind of nice for them because they don't have to change their offensive game plan too much when Lamar sits, but he's just not the same. And if Tyler Huntley does start, I would 100% like Mark Andrews catches, because at the end of the game, when Huntley did come in for Lamar Jackson, he force-fed Andrews a lot of receptions. So expect Andrews to have a big game either way.
All right. The first score of the day is the New York Jets. Surprisingly, the New York Jets. Barnes right in for 2 yards for touchdown. Extra point good. 7-0 in favor of the Jets. Is the 10 load about it. 7-0 Texans as well too. So the Houston Texans get on the board on Jacksonville as well. The Davis Mills pass, former Stanford quarterback, to Brandon Cooks for 22 yards, and a fair game. Extra point is good. So those are the first two scores of the game, are the Jets and the Texans. Not coincidentally, they're underdogs. We told you about the underdog stats coming in, 105 and 90 coming into the week. The favorite one on Thursday, the favorite one last night. So we'll see if the underdogs come back on Sunday as well too, to keep that margin of underdogs to favorites still in double digits. And of course, the over-unders are still under 500 as well too. All right, when we come back in 30 seconds, we'll review Saturday night's game between the Colts and Patriots. We'll look ahead to Monday and Tuesday. We may have a flag here. Before we go to break, let's see what happens with Tennessee. They got a big punt return, but it looks like it's going to come back probably with a hold or a block in the back, as is wont to be on special teams. He's intern Nick. I'm Vasu Party, Charlie O on assignment. If you're in the area, if you're in Santa Cruz County, come on down to the Britannia Arms of Capitola. Football everywhere, 6 games on the 1 o'clock slate, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern. The weather is beautiful. Come on down for breakfast, lunch, mimosas, Bloody Marys, as I said. I wish you all were down here. We appreciate everybody watching and supporting us on the Make the Money and Run podcast. And don't forget, tomorrow, 3 Eastern, with Kent Sterling of Indianapolis Radio. I'm sure he's pretty happy after the Colts win yesterday. All right, 30 seconds. We're back with the Make the Money and Run podcast, the NFL preview show on this Sunday for Week 15 of the NFL. All right, welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast. It's another score has come up. The Lions have kicked a field goal. They're up 3-0. We're sponsored by the Britannia Arms of Capitola. I am live right here in Capitola, California. Beautiful overcast day, about 50 degrees, but we're inside watching football. 6 games here. People starting to show up. People starting to flex into NFL football here as we watch. We want to thank everybody on Facebook, YouTube, the comments. Tom and Taylor on Facebook live with us as well. Twitter live and YouTube live as well. All right. We got through the early 6 games. We'll keep you updated on the scores here. Right now, Jets have a 7-0 lead. The Texans have a 7-0 lead as well. Everybody else is scoreless. That was a block in the back on the Steelers. The Titans are looking to drive right now. They're inside the 20-yard line, the 19-yard line. on first down. No score in that game. The Giants have gotten a turnover from Dallas already, so that 12 points could be pretty interesting here. And the Lions have a 3-0 lead. The Panthers are at the Buffalo 24. They're threatening. And then the Texans have a 7-0 lead. Jacksonville has the ball at their 17-yard line. All right, let's get to it here. Last night, very interesting showing last night between the Colts and the Patriots. They usually eat up the Colts to the Patriots. And on this 7-game winning streak, it went awry because of I don't know. It just looked bad. The first half looked bad. I wasn't expecting the Bill Belichick team to look like that. Maybe they got to Mac Jones. Maybe Mac Jones felt the pressure a little bit, but they ended up losing the Pats 27-17. The Colts are 8-6. They're in the 5th spot now. Can you believe that? They started 0-3. They're 7-2. I'm sorry, 8-2 now. Let me rephrase that. They're 8-2 since their last. Oh, they started off 1-4, and now they are 8-2. 7-2. I'm sorry, 7-2 since. 4-2 is a favorite. 5-4 on terms of the overs and unders now. During this stretch of games that they've had, the 7-2. What'd you think about the Colts last night? What'd you think about the Patriots last night, Nick?
Yeah, the Colts looked really, really good, and they did what I expected them to do, run Jonathan Taylor into the ground all night long, which definitely worked because besides the last carry where he busted out that 70-yard touchdown, he wasn't necessarily getting any huge chunk gains, but he was just tiring that defense out run after run after run, getting 4 or 5 yards, getting a 4th-and-1 conversion on fourth down to give him another first down. And just they tired that New England Patriots defense out through the run, which you have to do in order to beat them. Like I said, you can't really throw on them with J.C. Jackson and those secondary corners, so what you got to do is get creative, get Hines the ball with trick plays like they did on that first touchdown, make Carson Wentz throw less than 10 times and give Jonathan Taylor the ball. And that worked out. And then they definitely blitzed Mac Jones a lot to get him under pressure to make bad errant throws, which forced a couple picks. So literally they did exactly what I thought they would do and dominated them the entire game. So I loved the Colts in that one, and they look really good running into the playoffs right now.
Well, 67-yard rush by Jonathan Taylor, give him 170 yards. How about that? I mean, a touchdown
Unreal.
in 11 straight games. He's tied the team record for most touchdowns in the season with Daniel Tomlinson. Next up on the list as far as a record for running backs rushing, 226 yards rushing, 170 of those by Jonathan Taylor. Carson Wentz, 57 yards passing. They got the block kick when it was 7-0. I think they had a shot still. And then the block kick came that returned for a touchdown. It was 14-0. 17-0 at the half. The third quarter turned out to be a little bit better for the Patriots. They got 17 points in the fourth, but that Taylor run sealed it at the end. Otherwise, it was a 20-17 game with the Patriots maybe having a shot to go back down there and win it. So very interesting. As we said, the Colts are 8-6 right now. They are in the 5 spot. They're ahead of the Chargers, who lost on Thursday. Buffalo's playing right now in the 7th spot. Cleveland playing tomorrow against the Raiders. We'll get to that in a second. Cincinnati and Denver will go in the afternoon. Denver right there as well at number 10. Pittsburgh playing right now. They're about ready to give up a score to Tennessee. And then even the Raiders at 6-7 and Miami at 6-7 still have a shot with only one game separating the number 5 seed all the way down to Miami at number 13. So we've got an interesting 3 games left, 4 weeks left. 3 weeks left for the rest of the season here, Nick, as far as the regular season goes.
It's definitely going to be a scrappy ending for sure, and it's kind of interesting to see how it's all going to pan out, but I do expect the Colts to continue steamrolling with Jonathan Taylor. I don't think they're going to ease up on him and kind of keep him for the playoffs. They want that high seed, especially with Tennessee kind of creeping up on them, but I don't know how – the Colts look fantastic, especially after that slow start.
Did they look fantastic? Did they look fantastic? I think it was Jonathan Taylor that looked fantastic.
I think Jonathan Taylor did look fantastic, but their game plan is
was great. Their
defense was unreal. Darius Leonard is an absolute monster. That pick was insane, and he's just a field controller out there. He's that middle linebacker you want. Yeah. So they've got some good pieces and stars on that team to make a deep run in the playoffs.
You can't throw red zone interceptions, and Mac Jones threw too late across the middle, and that's a no-no in any high school, college, and the pros, especially in the pros. You can't throw across the middle like that. He had the receiver open. I believe it was Hunter Henry in the end zone. If they got that score back and made it 14-7, then they might have had a chance to come back. So this drops New England to the 3 seed. We're waiting to see what happens with Tennessee because New England has a tiebreaker over Tennessee. Then, of course, those Chiefs who won on Thursday night, we talked about that on Friday, on the Friday football show, 10-4 for the Chiefs in the 1 seed. And then, like I said, Indianapolis 5, Chargers 6, Buffalo 7, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Denver in that order, 8, 9, and 10, all 7-6. Steelers 6, 6, and 1. The tie against the Lions has hurt them. They might have had a tiebreaker against some of these teams. They beat Denver. And then Vegas will play tomorrow against Cleveland. We'll get to that in a second. Miami in 13th at 6 and 7. They're down 7-0 still to the Jets, I believe. Let me update the scores here for people.
I think it's 10-0.
No score. Buffalo. It's 10-0 Jets right now. Panthers and Bills. Panthers went for it on 4th down. Bills got the ball back. Lions have a 3-0 lead. The Jets 10-0 lead. The Cowboys got a touchdown. That's an updated score. We'll tell you how that happened here. They missed the extra point. As usual for Greg Zuerlein, having a tough year. Ezekiel Elliott, a 13-yard run. So if you got fantasy football points, and the Tennessee Titans have just scored. Ryan Tannehill has gone in the end zone on a quarterback sneak. So they're up 6-0 with the extra point pending as well, too. Vasi Vada Party intern Nick Robinson here with you as we welcome you into the Britannia Arms in Capitola. Come on down and enjoy the good food and good drink. Northern California's best British pub and restaurant there is, right on the shores of the Pacific Ocean. We've got a few minutes left before we sign off for the day, but thanks to everybody again on Facebook. 7-0 Tennessee going into this game. The Texans 7-0 over the Jaguars as well, too. And then the Jets have that 10. I'm shocked. I mean, I'm a little shocked about the Jets and Dolphins right now. 10-0. They get the field goal, but Zach
That's a
Wilson,
close one. I definitely thought it would be a comeback from the Jets in garbage time, but I guess it's looking like the opposite. And you never know. Never know with these games.
All right, let's go to tomorrow's game. We've got 2 games tomorrow. We've got the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. They're 5.5-point favorite, 44.5 at Chicago. Chicago has nothing to play for other than pride. This is an NFC North game. The Vikings are 6 and 7, as we said. They're tied with all those teams. That's a big log jam at 6 and 7 right now with all the tiebreakers. 4 other teams. Dalvin Cook is healthy again. I don't know if he's healthy again, but he's going to play. And then after their win off Pittsburgh, Minnesota 2-4 only against the spread as a favorite. And Chicago coming off some good things, but yet another loss to Green Bay. Let's break down Monday Night Football here a little bit, Nick, in the last few minutes.
Yeah, so I definitely like Minnesota in this one, but I don't think that they will cover the spread. I think this is going to be a field goal game. And given how good Chicago has been playing recently, especially against the Packers last week, that impressed me a lot. Justin Fields looked really good running the ball, throwing the ball. He was calm, didn't turn it over too much. So I definitely like Minnesota, but I don't think they're going to be able to cover. I think they'll win by a field goal. So I definitely like Chicago with this spread. And the only thing you got to watch out for is Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. So if they can double Jefferson, somehow force him to run his routes, but kind of double him. And then Dalvin Cook should run all over them. But, Chicago does have a really good rush D. So you never know.
All right. Once again, Vasi Vada Party and intern Nick here. The other Monday game, the Cleveland Browns are now a 3-point favorite. Nick Mullins possibly to start still. They're waiting on COVID test. Kyle Lauletta was signed off the practice squad. Case Keenum is still tested positive. Baker Mayfield, don't know what his ruling is. But they moved the game from Saturday afternoon to Monday afternoon. It'll be 5 o'clock Eastern on the NFL Network, 2 o'clock out here on the West Coast. Cleveland, favored by 3. The total, I think, is 40. I think they changed a little bit, 40.5. I believe it's gone up a little bit now that the possibility of Mayfield might be back. 64% of the fan base thinks that Cleveland's going to win the game, and it's a huge game for them. We're talking about, and if the Ravens falter against the Packers, we're talking about AFC North supremacy here. And who would have thought that, considering how bad Baker Mayfield has been beaten up this year and all the injuries and COVID tests that they've had. 24 players on the Cleveland Browns tested, and so that's why they moved this back to Monday. I guess the Raiders were upset because they had the impression that there was going to be a forfeit, but I just don't think that you can't forfeit an NFL game. I just don't think that's especially
Cleveland,
in the circumstance that we're in.
That it's hard to postpone a game, so it makes sense that they did move it to Monday, but Cleveland has surprised me with that 65% on the field. So, but I definitely think if Baker Mayfield can somehow come back, or Case Keenum, that would be huge, but I don't think either is going to. So Nick Mullins having 65% of that field on him does scare me a little, but I know that they're just going to run with Nick Chubb, especially in that Cleveland weather. They're going to give him the ball as much as the Colts gave Jonathan Taylor. So expect them to try to run Nick Chubb into the ground and control the game, not let Derek Carr air it out too much, and try to get as much time of possession as you can in this game.
The Raiders 1-5 overall in their last 6. It's that 5-2 start. 3-3 in the over/under, but 0-3 is a favorite. They're a dog now. That could change depending on what the COVID status is right now. So keep checking the injury reports. Again, the injury reports are going to be out in about an hour, 1 hour from now, with all the afternoon games, 3 afternoon games: the Falcons, the 49ers, the Bengals and Broncos, and then the big one in Baltimore, Packers and Ravens. Lamar Jackson status still up in the air. Tomorrow, Monday's show, we'll preview the Seahawks and the Rams. Why don't you give me a quick note on what you think about the Seahawks and Rams? A huge game for the Rams because of Arizona falters, and they're down right now. The Rams could actually end up being tied with the Cardinals, and I think they have the tiebreaker on them based on division record. I could be wrong, but the Rams 6.5-point favorite over the Seahawks right now going into Tuesday's game, and that's going to be a tough one. It's 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock on Fox, and then the Eagles and the Washington football team also at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock in Pacific on Fox. Those were regionally televised games, so they're going to keep it that way for Tuesday. Nick.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge game, and I think that'll be a closer game than people expect. A lot of people think the Rams will just run over the Seahawks, especially how bad they've been this year, but never count out Russell Wilson, especially at the end of the year. He always comes up with some magic. I know they're probably going to be missing Lockett, which is huge, but they should be able to integrate DK Metcalf and a few other guys. Penny looked great last week. Their defense is finally stepping up with Jamal Adams. And you never know. You never know what Russ can do on the road or just in late in the year with his magic. And then also Houston, I think, just scored a punt return touchdown.
I'm not sure the Seahawks are still in any possibility of a playoff spot, but the fact is they're 5-8. Russell Wilson has never had an under 500 team that he's quarterbacked in his career right now. So if they can run the table and get to 8-8, and actually, frankly, I know it's a long shot for them to get in, but 8-8, the way these 7-loss teams are going right now, if they end up with 8 losses, I don't know what the tiebreaker status is for all the teams. We'd have to look at that during the week, but they have to win first in order for that to happen. So we won't know until Tuesday from that standpoint as well, too. All right, let's get to the Washington Eagles game. Taylor Heineke was put on the virus list. We don't know if he's going to play or not. They moved it to Tuesday, so we'll see how that goes. But then the Eagles, they're at 6-7 also. They're in ninth place. They're in ninth place behind Minnesota, behind Washington, and behind San Francisco at 7-6 for the number 6 seed. Atlanta's behind them. Philadelphia beat Atlanta early in the year. New Orleans is behind them. We'll hit the Sunday night game in a second, too. We forgot to hit the Sunday night game. But the Eagles right now, they're in a spot where they have a chance to make some ground up on the league right now.
Yeah, definitely. The Eagles have been sneaky. Hurts has been better than a lot of people expected, especially out of college last year. They didn't expect him to be the best, but he has been a game manager. He's been really good coming from behind. And then that line, you never count out the Eagles line with Lane Johnson and a few others. So you never know in that one. But it's going to be an interesting game, especially with Washington. I think they're going to start Allen. So that's not my favorite quarterback of choice. I definitely like the Eagles. 6.5 is a lot, but I think they can win by 6.5.
All right, so yeah, well, hopefully more if you take the Eagles at 6.5.
Yeah, I know.
Don't get for overtime here. All right, let's get to the Sunday night game. I had that up here. I thought we had that up here somewhere. We did. We talked about it on there it is. All right. So Tampa Bay is minus 11, 11.5, 46.5 versus New Orleans. The Bucs in the 2 spot now over Arizona based on strength of victory. That's the strength of victory against teams you played this year. So they want all these other teams to win so that strength of victory could help them. And if the Lions end up beating Arizona or Arizona's in trouble, this DeAndre Hopkins injury, pretty serious. And Kyler Murray, you don't know how healthy he's been since he's been injured, but that's a different story in and of itself. They're playing right now. But how about the Bucs in the 2 spot? They cover at home. They haven't lost at home, I don't think. New Orleans 6-7, still in the playoff hunt. 11-4 of the teams. We mentioned those 4 teams ad nauseum with Atlanta, Philadelphia, Washington, and New Orleans. Those 4 other teams, and Minnesota as well at 6-7. So give me your quick thought here on Sunday Night Football tonight.
Yeah, so I definitely love Tom Brady, and he's obviously the MVP candidate, which blows my mind at 44 years old. But 11 points is a lot. I know Charlie did lay the plus 11 on New Orleans, I believe, and I kind of like that given Taysom Hill's ability to rush and just come back in garbage time. So you never know with that one. But Tom Brady, he's going to control this game. They're going to be up by at least 14 to start the game. I think before half they'll be up by 14. So it's going to be Taysom Hill running for his life. So you never know. I definitely like Taysom Hill rushing yards in that one. That's going to be something I love the most.
against that front four and front seven for Tampa Bay, it's going to be really hard to get any kind of running game going. Kamara's going to have a big game, and they can run the ball a little bit. But if they have a chance to get after it, they have to attack that secondary, because we know Tampa Bay's secondary has not been that healthy. So we'll see how it goes. All right, young man, great job today. We are here at the Britannia Arms in Capitola all day for the NFL Sunday ticket. Come down and see Andy. He's pouring drinks. People are having breakfast here. You can have lunch here. You can have drinks. The best British pub and restaurant on the shores of the Pacific Ocean. As I'm looking out at the beautiful Pacific Ocean right now, it's a little overcast. Temperatures rising up a little bit, but temperatures are hot in here with the NFL football going on. 6 games going on. Let me recap the scores here real quick. Panthers and Bills, no score. Lions have a 3-0 lead. The Jets have a 10-0 lead on the Dolphins. Cowboys have a 6-3 lead on the Giants. And then the Titans still with the 7-0 lead. They have the ball in Pittsburgh territory again. They might be moving up, and the Texans have scored again. They are up 13-3 against the Jaguars. 63-yard pass for M. Wright. I don't know who M. Wright is, but
for which team?
98-yard touchdown for the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I thought that was a kick return touchdown. Did they just score again?
Oh, it was. You know what? I'm sorry. Mike Wright is the kicker. Yeah, they ran it back 98 yards.
I saw that one in the
Smith ran it back 98 yards.
That looked like he bounced off a few tackles too. That's impressive. I saw that one.
All right, come on down to the Britannia Arms in Capitola. Breakfast being served. People are here. 6 games going on. 3 games in the afternoon. Don't forget our social media selections. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 on the West Coast. We'll have all the afternoon games. We'll talk about the NBA and the NHL on the post as well too. All right, for intern Nick Robinson, great job. Thanks for joining me this morning. Thanks to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter live on Vassy Vada Party. We'll be back live at 3 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. Kent Sterling of Indianapolis Radio will be on with me, and we'll recap all of Sunday's action as well. Preview Monday night and Tuesday night football as well too. All right, Nick, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great afternoon. Good luck with your games.
Thanks for having me on, Vasu. Beautiful day for some football. Enjoy, and good luck to everyone.
All right, good for everybody, and come on down to Capitola, as I said, if you happen to be in the area. But don't forget our social media selections as well, too. All right, games are going. First quarters are almost ending. We are out of here. Thanks to everybody, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube Live. I'm Vassy Vada Party for Nick Robinson, Charlie O on assignment. We will see you tomorrow live at 3 Eastern. And don't forget to check out our social media selections at 3:30 Eastern today on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Take care, everybody. Have a great afternoon, evening. Good luck with your games, and we will talk to you soon.